Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this video, we're going to do a little bit of talking about 3D printing. Now, if you saw my video not that long ago where I was reviewing a new printer that they provided for me, this is the HeyGears RS Turbo. They provided it and they asked me to do a review. This time, this was on me. I knew that they were coming out with a new resin, which is the clear resin, the PAF10 clear, and I thought to myself, well, you know what? We don't get enough accessories with our action figures. We don't have enough effect parts and just all kinds of different things that may benefit from being able to be made out of a clear material. So I contacted them and I said, hey, can we do something here? I want to make this video. Can you give me some resin? And they basically just said, yes, here you go. And then they also gave me some good news, which I'll get to in just a second. So this is technically like a sponsored video because they gave me resin, but this was my idea. They didn't pay me, and I'm saying whatever I want to say about it. Okay, just to make it legal on the up and up. That's the situation here. And the good news is they are having an incredible sale starting on June 23rd, running through July 4th. They're putting all kinds of stuff on sale, but particularly the printer that I reviewed, the one that I love, that I think is just so good and amazing. It's going to be the cheapest it's ever been. I'll have pricing on the screen for you. But this is a surefire thing. If you are in the market for a printer, this is something I definitely recommend 100%. But this printer that they provided last time, the HeyGears RS Turbo, it's freaking great. I've been running this thing almost literally around the clock, nonstop since I got it. And it is just a workhorse. It is pumping out prints like you wouldn't believe. It's fast, it's accurate, and this is all me talking. This is not some kind of, like, I don't have to say anything about this. This is just me giving you guys the God's honest truth. If you're interested in 3D printing, this is something to consider. This printer works. It works fast, it works effectively. I've had very few failed prints, and when they failed, it was only because I was trying to use too few supports, which, like, obviously that's a thing with 3D printing. You have to use supports, but you want to use as few as possible, so you have to find that sweet middle ground. But anyway, I really liked the printer, and that's why I contacted them. I said, hey, you know what? I'm having a good time with this printer. Your resins have been really nice. Let me try this resin out, and I'll make a video about it. And they said, sure, go ahead. So that's what we're doing here. It's the PAF10 clear resin. It's relatively inexpensive. Like, compared to other companies, I don't know that there are any, like, good brands out there that are cheaper than these guys. It's a really good resin for the price, especially. But the resin worked wonderfully. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that in just a second. I want to explain about this printer. So this is like the cool thing that they told me about that I didn't know was happening right away. The whole thing with HeyGears, like this printer, was that it's made for people who want to do any kind of printing. That's fine if you're experienced or inexperienced. It was set up so that you just buy their resin, you click on the right resin, and it will print. You don't have to worry about slicer settings or anything like that. It's just easy, like basically set it and forget it sort of thing for new users. But experienced users could obviously put it to work too, like I did. But now, this is one of the biggest drawbacks for this brand in the past, is that it wasn't open to third-party resins. Like, you could use them, and you could just try to use a profile that already existed. But now they just opened it up. They opened it up. You can use third-party resins, you can change the slicer settings, so you have to know what you're doing, or you'll just get a bunch of crap, or your prints won't work, but you have to know what you're doing, but you can do it now. So it's perfect for new users. You just buy what they have, use their settings, and you get great results. Easy peasy. Or you can buy their resin or other resins, or do whatever you want. Mix resins, which I already have been doing, and use the open settings, and you can do that. So it is now, like, I don't see why you would go with any other printer. Honestly, you have all of the options. Super easy, super complex, any resin you want. Just go for it. So the fact that they opened up their slicer is just crazy to me. I mean, I think that's a great business move. That's awesome. They've got all the bases covered now. So that's great for you guys. I wanted to let you know, because maybe you already know about 3D printing and wanted to try some different things, but didn't want to deal with their profiles. You don't have to anymore. So that's great. Okay, so back to the resin, the clear resin. Alright, so let's talk about this resin, because I could not be happier with the performance of this resin. It's just amazing. This is just a quick example here to show you. I'm going to show you a bunch of different effect parts, mostly fireballs and things like that I made, just to demonstrate how this resin can be used. And you can make basically anything you could think of, as long as you can 3D print it and you want it to be some kind of clear or transparent or whatever. This is the resin to do it with. It's so good. It performs so well. Now, I want to talk about one thing before we get into the actual resin. It's resin adjacent. It's a product they sell to go with their PAF10 clear, the clear resin. It's a glaze. You don't have to bake it. Baking helps to level it out, but you have to cure it in a curing machine. and it's like $90. It's super expensive, and I thought, I don't want to have to say something bad, so you don't have to send it. That's okay. I'll just use my regular spray paint, my clear stuff. It'll be fine. They're like, no, we're gonna send it. We want you to try it out. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll do it. But I thought, there's no freaking way it's gonna be worth the money. It's worth the money if you have the use case for it. Okay, so this is what the resin looks like. I just used a beast head because it has enough detail to demonstrate what I wanted to do. So this is what their clear resin looks like, freshly or plainly printed and cured. Slight purple tint, depending on how thick the material is. I'll show you that in a second. You might have no purple. Actually, I can show you that real quick. I have his glasses right here. No purple tint at all. They just printed clear. No problem, because they're very, very thin. And the purple tint is to help combat UV yellowing and things like that, but the stuff is UV resistant anyway, so that's good. But that's what it looks like normally. And this is what it looked like when I used my regular, just clear spray. You still see, I mean, it's really nice and clear looking, but there's a little bit of a purple tint. If you're doing straight up clear, thick parts, you will end up with some purple. Okay? But if you use their glaze, I was so impressed by this. It is basically just glass. It is freaking cool. This glaze is amazing as a product. Now, it is super expensive. I think it's justified if you have a use case for it. Now, the other cool thing about the glaze is it's safe to the skin, safe for skin contact. So if you're making jewelry or things, you could definitely use it for that. I don't need skin contact safety, so it doesn't matter to me. But it's cool, and it's also hard. Like, you can't scratch it. I can put my nail through most paints, your fingernail. You can scratch most paints off of things. This stuff is hard. It's meant to dry hard or cure hard, but it's extra UV resistant. It's extra clear, skin safe, and it's hard. It's really, really, really cool. So that's the beast head example. So that's the spray paint right there. A couple coats of clear gloss spray. Not as glossy either. I could probably keep spraying it on and get it even glossier and maybe clearer, but that's a few coats. This is just one coat of this stuff. Now, this stuff is super thick. You can brush it on. You can spray it on if you thin it down. You thin it with, I think you have to use you're supposed to use like ethanol or something like that. I don't remember. I can't remember. I used alcohol, which works just fine too. So I thinned it down for this a little bit and brushed it on, and it came out wonderfully. If you don't thin it, it comes out very thick, and it's a little trickier to use. But if you thin it too much, it also doesn't work. Let me grab this other part. So these are just like aura effects that I made. And I wanted to use these to demonstrate the properties of the resin as well. Alright, you can make anything you want, really. But for this, I'm not doing a sale right now. So this was mostly things I wanted to print to demonstrate and to test out the material. So this, I thought, no way is this going to print. This is solid. I didn't make any cavities or anything like that. I haven't sanded it. There's some paper towel stuck to the bottom. This is unsanded. These are completely untreated. So you can see how purple it is when it's thick. This happens to be a really good look for like Akuma punching the ground. So I like that. But this is solid. I don't know if you can hear that, but it is solid, but it is very purple, and it is kind of a frosty finish when they come out, like I showed you that beast head. Alright, and these are smaller versions. This is with the spray paint. So you can see it's a little bit more clear, and obviously it's not going to be as purple as this one, but definitely lets more light through. And this is with me sanding the bottom only. I didn't sand the tops at all, so this is just print layers, and it still worked. You only have to sand up to like 800 to make it look perfectly glassy. And this is just one very, very thin coat of spray paint, so you can see a little bit of print lines on there, but just like not, you can't tell they're lines. It's just kind of like frosty looking, but that's what it looks like with the spray paint. And then this is with a very thinned down version of the glaze, and it's even more clear. There's still a little bit of purple at the bottom, but it is very, very clear. And if I didn't thin it as much, or if I did any sanding at all, you wouldn't have any issues at all with that texturing that you can kind of see in some spots with the light hitting it. But it is just such a cool product. That glaze really, really impressed me. It also works for things like this. You can see the resin stuff, and so is the glaze. Like a special beam cannon. If you want to make a special beam cannon, you can do that. And this is just the same resin, but I put yellow alcohol ink in it. And so I just printed it in yellow, and this is solid. I didn't hollow this out or anything. It's solid. And then I used the glaze on it to make it nice and glazy, nice and glossy. It looks like a higher detailed transparent PVC or translucent PVC. So that's that option. But what I found to work the best, now that we're done talking about the glaze, you'll see, I'll explain if they have glaze or clear coat or whatever on them as I go. But so that's one option, just to make them solid. But it is heavy, because that's a big chunk of plastic there. So you have another option, which is to hollow things out. Now, I wouldn't use the software to do it. I mean, don't use the slicer software, because it's not meant for this. It's just meant to hollow out regular parts, opaque parts. I did it in my sculpting software, but I hollowed it out, and then I glazed this. And this is the exact same yellow resin, yellow dyed resin, but I also put pearly white paint on the inside where I hollowed it out, so you have that like hot spot in the middle for the blast effect. I don't really like how it turned out for this. It stayed bubbly, didn't look great, but you can see how transparent it is, even with the yellow. And I dyed these pretty light. I didn't put a lot of color in them. And then I realized, you know what, let's really test this. Let's really test this resin. And I started to dye things really dark, or dye the resin really dark to see if it would work. And it does. It prints, like, I couldn't get it to fail a print, other than when I didn't do enough supports, which I'll show you in a second. So these are some Iceman hands. I put a lot of blue in just to see how it would look. And it works. It prints just fine. Honestly, the HeyGears printer with the slicer and their own resin, it's like you don't have to really think. It just prints. So that's what it looks like fresh off the printer. This is what it looks like with the Glaze. This one's actually hollowed out. I hollowed this one out so that I could do that. But it looks like it's made out of glass. It's so cool. Like, I couldn't just stop making things. All right, let's talk about a few more fireballs. So here's like a Kamehameha. All right, and the way I printed mine, these are all hollowed out now. There's a hollow spot. It goes all the way through, and then it's hollow on the inside. You can't really tell that much, but you can kind of see on the inside that there's like a hot spot. It looks like there's a wider spot in there, and that's because it's hollow. This is completely undealt with after printing, other than curing. So I still have my little my support marks on there. And you can sand those off, you have to. I mean, you want to sand those off, of course. But the way I did mine, which is not necessarily advisable, is I printed them straight, like this. So there was a lot of suction cupping, and you get some layer lines when that happens. But I wanted to be able to sand evenly around. I didn't want, like, supports all over the place. You can deal with that however you want, but this works just fine for me. Sometimes you can see layer lines just because of the suction cup effect, but it's not enough, and it's to worry about for me, and it looks way better than any of the stuff we get with our action figures anyway. So this is just right off the printer, cured, done, nothing treated. I think that looks great. I love the frosted effect. So, well, here, I made little things to go on the ends too. I don't have one for this right now. But let's just say you wanted Goku to fire off a Kamehameha. I personally don't mind. Can we focus, please? Focus, focus. Why are we losing focus? Come on, camera. What are you doing? There we go. I personally like the frosted look. I think it looks really, really good. Don't mind that at all. The problem is, if you're not going to glaze it or gloss it at all, you're going to have to sand off the nubbins here, the support marks, and then sand it to whatever level makes it look like the rest of the printed part. So that's probably like a 1200, maybe. It does work. I don't think I have any here to show you, but you can sand just the nubbins, just the support marks, such that it doesn't need to be cleared. That's a lot of work, so I personally would just do clear, even if you're doing like a satin or something. Here's the exact same part. I do have the end piece on there, but with the clear on it. So you lose a little bit of the saturation of the color when you clear it, but you do get the glossy, translucent effect. And that you can see inside, that cavity inside, I think that makes it look really cool. But so there's a Kamehameha right there. Okay, and so I wanted to show you another one. I guess we're going to just bounce around. What the heck? So this is the one that I had up in the beginning. This is like a bigger Kamehameha. I don't know why the camera is losing focus so much. What is going on? So this is like a bigger one. I did hollow it out. You can see those lines in there a lot more on this one. You won't be able to see those once you treat it though, so mostly. But this one I made it in parts so that I could have these like shockwave parts that go on there. I wanted to leave them separate to show you. You can get lines, and it's because I try to support my things as little as possible. Now sometimes, I don't know if you're even going to be able to see it. Maybe you can't. Sometimes you get like little fissures in the resin, and I don't know what that's about. Maybe that's because I'm using the alcohol inks. There, you can kind of see it. It looks like a hair. It's way less noticeable once you clear it off, and I'll give you another example in a second. But sometimes that happens, and I don't know if I can blame myself or the printer for that. But I did support this very terribly because I wanted as little as possible. So you can see layer lines a little bit. You can't feel them. They're just visible. This is untreated. Once you sand this up a little bit and clear it, you won't see those lines. Of course, that's going to be on a case-by-case thing. But the thing I like about the resin is even with the color in it, as you turn it, obviously you're looking through thicker material, you see more of that blue. And then as you turn it this way, you see less of the blue. So it makes a very dynamic look. But these are just parts I made for this. This is just a giant Kamehameha, or whatever, a fireball for Ryu or whatever. But I have one of these that I tried to do with almost no supports, and it failed, which is my fault. So it just stopped printing because it gunked itself up in the bottom. But so just ignore this part. But this part is the exact same thing, exact same colors and everything, with the clear on it, which I think just looks beautiful. And what I did on this one, and this was a test one, so it's not done well, but it's good enough for me to show you, some pearl white on the front. A little bit of white paint on that turns it into just the most beautiful fireball. And this is with a very thin coat of the glaze on it first. So yeah, you have all kinds of options for fireballs. I'll throw some photos up on the screen too as I'm talking. But here's a big old purple one. You can see a lot of the lines on there, but that'll go away once I do a little bit of sanding and the clear coat. But there's like a big old purple fireball for Akuma, you know, shoot a fireball, that kind of thing. So we have that. We have these, which would be like the Gambit cards. It prints no problem at all, tiny things. These are the Gambit cards. So here's a Mafex Gambit. You know, he can hold his stack of cards. Obviously, I don't have him posed for it, but it's flexible. You could break it if you were trying, but this is a durable resin, so that's really, really cool. And it had no trouble printing these. In fact, I don't know if I'll be able to show you. Just to test it, I put my logo on the card. I don't know if you can see it on camera. I might have to take another photo to show you. My logo is in there. You can't feel it. It's so small. It's such a tiny embellishment. That's what it is. Not embezzlement. But it printed it. And then there's, on this side, there's a king. I don't know. This one's a little messed up. They're not perfect because it's so tiny. But it was able to print those, which is just so cool. All right, what else can I show you? Because this resin, I couldn't stop messing around with. So I made little fireballs also. So if you need like a red fireball or an orange fireball or blue or whatever, all different colors, I made those. It's so easy now. I can just have fireballs for everybody if I want them to have it. I'll show you this. Here's like a pinkish one that you could use for different characters. And then you could try putting clear inside. I've done that. That makes it, this one has clear on the inside. It kind of makes the inside part disappear. You could put the white on the inside. And that's what I wanted to show you here. I showed you the special beam cannon with the white on the inside that didn't really work out. This one is just this. So this is fresh off the printer, unsanded, undealt with. I have this on here just because. But that's what it looked like off the printer. So frosty, you can see the lines and things. I sanded it. This one has some of the cracks in it. So you want to be careful. Sometimes you will get cracks. Again, I don't know if that's from the alcohol inks or whatever, which is annoying, but every once in a while I got one. I printed like 10 of these and only one of them did it. And I used this one to clear because I wanted to see how it would work. So I sanded it and I cleared it so it just looks like glass. And then I put the pearly white paint inside, the same one I used for the special beam cannon, which looks cool at the front but didn't look good here. I put it inside so it's filling the inside and this, and it made just the best effect. I absolutely love the way this turned out. So you can see a little bit of the lines on the inside from the suction cupping. You can see those, they're in there, but that's nowhere near as bad as the lines you get from like the PVC molds that they use for the effect parts that come with the action figures. And I just love this. Like, this is just a perfect looking effect part. You get to make them yourself. It's so... the whole thing. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, last thing I wanted to show you. Well, there's another fireball. You can see the lines again. But that'll go away, like I said. Okay, here's Iceman. Took some tinkering, but I was able to get the resin to basically emulate almost perfectly the plastic they made Iceman out of. So this is a new head. Obviously, I don't have any paint on here because I have to frost him up and stuff, but I wanted to show you. I have the blade hand and the claw hand, and I was able to get the resin to basically perfectly match the PVC that they used. Obviously, I had to use my own dyes to color it because it is just the clear that looks like this. But it works. It works so well. So easy. These are hollowed out to get the right... because if you make them solid, they end up looking really dark where it's solid, like I showed you before. But if you hollow them out, you end up getting a more consistent finish or color, and it's perfect. And this is just with the spray paint clear, very light gloss, because he's not actually glossy. So just enough on there to make it match, and you would never know that I 3D printed these at home, other than I didn't perfectly sand them. You can see a couple little nubbins there, but yeah, I didn't treat any of this. I didn't sand any of it other than where there were supports. So like this whole piece right here, didn't do any sanding, didn't do anything. It just works. It looks so freaking good, and that's without any paint. Like I said, you throw some paint on there, and you have, I have too much paint on the front. Like I said, this was a test. It didn't work out right there because it was too humid in the garage and I sprayed too heavy, whatever. You get the idea. You throw a little bit of pearly white paint on there or some plain white frosty on there. Guys, we can make any accessories we want. And here's just another example of how good that gloss is. Here's an Iceman head that I made too dark just because I had spare dark blue. It just looks so cool with that glaze. It looks like it's made out of glass. Oh man, I love it. Now, like I said, that glaze is super expensive, and you probably don't need it for most things. It's a very specific thing. Otherwise, you want to just use probably your regular clear paint, and I told him I'm just going to use the clear paint if I can. I don't need the glaze. The glaze is awesome. I think it's worth the money if you have the use case for it. It's super, super cool. But if you don't want to do that, if you're just trying to make some effect parts for your action figures, you don't need it. You can just use clear paint. The thicker the clear paint, the better it works to get rid of that purple hue or to hide imperfections. But like this, I just sprayed it on super thin and it worked perfectly to match the PVC finish. So yeah, I couldn't be happier with this resin. It turned out absolutely great once I stopped trying to make things with no supports. You have to use supports. You know, you want to use as few as possible, but other than that, it doesn't fail. It doesn't fail. These kind of imperfections are the worst I came across, and this is still just because I'm trying to use as few supports as possible. So you can see those little like shelving lines. But that's because I'm printing something super thin out of a gooey resin on a flexible resin with alcohol mixed in. Like, it's my fault. It's not the resin's fault. But the more supports you put on, the less you have that. You just have to do more sanding, and I don't want to do more sanding, so that's the way I decided to do it. But yeah, absolutely love this resin. It turned out so, so, so good. And I will be selling parts at some point. I don't know which ones. Let me know which ones you guys like. Boy, do I love the way this turned out. That glossy outside with the pearl on the inside, that couldn't look more like a good Kamehameha, if you ask me. Couldn't be happier overall with the machine, with the software, with the resin. It was just great. So if you're interested in getting into printing, this is a route I would highly consider. And like I mentioned earlier, guys, they are having a crazy sale with all kinds of good discounts. This printer that I'm using has been, or will be, marked down to the lowest it's ever been. It's an incredibly low price. It's nuts. So yeah, if you're in the market for this sort of thing, it gives my seal of approval 100%. I recommend it fully. I've had no problems with this company, and now that they have open mode and they're just adding more and more resins, I don't think you could do better than this. It's a really, really good deal. Thanks to them for providing me a bunch of resin to use. That was helpful. And, you know, if you guys are into it, I hope this helps you, because I couldn't be happier with this product. So there it is. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll be done there. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.